Welcome to Confessions of a PT. I'm James McCallion from James McCallion Transformations.
And I'm Matt Cowell from Mind and Movement Mentoring. And between us, we've got over 25 years of coaching and personal training experience.
And every single week, we're going to provide you with all our best tips and laughs along the way. Welcome to this week's episodes of Confessions of a PT. Thank you so much all for listening. The love and support me and Matt greatly appreciate. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about mindset and the power of subconsciousness. How's your week been, Mr. Cow?
It's been good, mate. Yeah, really, really good. Looking at booking a holiday in the next few days. Whoa. So a few destination shortlists to be revealed.
Love that, mate. Love that.
What about you?
Yeah, no holidays planned this year as yet. Got some good news with the mentoring I'm doing. Hopefully going to Dubai this year. First time. So yeah, big things this year, mate. But apart from that, just seeing how it goes, buddy.
Love it.
I'm going to go straight in with this one, Matt. So my view on mindset, I'm going to go back to when I was 25 years young. I travelled to Salt Lake City, Utah, and did a sort of gym philosophy, for better words, around Jim Jones, and it was massive on the power of mindset. And for me, it was a complete game changer in how powerful your subconscious is. And a funny story, when I did my level 3, I was out there, and the main guy, Bobby Maximus, really, really intelligent guy, turned around and said to me that I was the ugliest trainer he'd ever seen. And I was like, excuse me, like, I've not got bad hairline and that, but like, Jesus Christ. And he turned around and said it was just my body language and subconscious was constantly telling my body I was tired. So it was quite intense in regards to the cardio activities and that we had to do. But I was like grunting loud, throwing myself on the floor, like being very theatrical, and like drama is a trained behavior. And just by that power of him telling me, he's like, tomorrow we're going to do the same workout. And he was like, you're not allowed to make a noise. And you have to constantly tell yourself that you're not tired. And it may sound far-fetched for those that are listening, but the difference in that of not being dramatic or thinking, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, like that shift of mindset for me was so powerful. And it was called like the art of suffering, learning to get uncomfortable in comfortable situations. I could sit here for hours and speak about you like the test and we sort of done. But for me, physical health and mental health go hand in hand, and if you pay attention to one more than the other, I think that's when you can lose sight of it.
So was that something that you were, in your mind, did you know that you were being overly dramatic, or was it just something you weren't trying to, I suppose, not consciously, but like attention seek and be like, God, give me some credit out for how hard this is? It was just, that was what you did?
Yeah, it was just, it was one of them things like we spoke about in previous episodes when I say we live in a world, it was just something that was natural to me. And I'd be like, I don't know if it's because I was quite big into CrossFit at the time as well, and it's that CrossFit mentality of throwing yourself on the floor of, oh my God, I'm amazing. So whether or not it was a trained behavior from that, but like I said, we were massive on like green light thoughts. And something that was really interesting with Jim Jones is we had to do a workout that was called SMMF. So you might have to bleep this out. It's single movement mindfuck, where we used to have to do the same exercise over and over for like an hour. So we had to do like box jumps for 60 minutes non-stop, or row for an hour continuously. And what they described it with is building habits and routines so that when you're so tired, it's a metronome like point of view. For example, they use like, do you know, like if you would keep something in your top drawer for like 6 months and then you'd move it, you'd still automatically go back there. You're just programmed on autopilot. And it was really fascinating, the stuff like that, to when you ingrain something in your body where you do it for so many times, it's just natural. So when you are tired, or it's just, that's what you go to. So it's routine as everything, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating, like the power of like the subconscious mind and that, like I think about this stuff a lot. A big thing for me was last year going to the Tony Robbins event, the 4-day event in Birmingham, Unleash the Power Within, and did walking over the fire walk of the hot coals, and just kind of like the process that he takes you through to kind of, with your awareness. And I mean, I really don't like flying. I'm really not a good flyer at all. And when I get on a plane, I can kind of feel certain things happening. And then there's almost like, I'm still not particularly good at it because I still hate flying, but you can kind of condition, you can like NLP type pattern interrupt type things that you do.
Yes.
And you realise that like you've got kind of this physical body that's like tired, but if you can kind of pull back from that and be like, in your mind you can be like, no, don't do this, just breathe, it's not that bad, you're not going to die. And like this, it's a real skill set, I think, to be able to kind of like marry the two, like what you were saying, like you certain learned behaviors that you're just doing on autopilot, and you can train yourself out of that, and then it's no extra energy or hardship to do the other way. It's just a different type of effort that's the same in terms of expenditure. It's no harder, but you get a different result. The result is that you've got more energy because you feel like you're, you know, you can keep going, rather than you feel sorry for yourself mode of, I think it's fascinating. I think this is why we spoke about it in another episode, but the cold plunge and like the ice bath stuff has got very popular. Because it's one of those ones where you feel your default mind every time like, no, come on, this is not necessary, no one cares, don't bother, why would you do it? And then when you push through that, your body's like, you've overcome your mind, and then the body has to deal with it, and you realise the mind and body are kind of separate. Fascinating.
I like that. There was, I can't remember the podcast name, but it was really about ice baths and cold plunges and stuff, about the power of counting backwards. I feel like if you count up to 10, you can still go to like 11, 12, whereas give yourself 3, 2, 1, go. Like it's now that instant reaction, because I feel like when it's fight or flight, isn't it? If you give yourself time to even think. So whenever I do it, I'm like, right, count down from 3 and then I'm going. Whereas there have been other things, okay, right, count to 10, you get to 9, and then you're like, oh, you go to 11. So like little tips, stuff like that. I think what was really important in regards to mindset, I'm massive in coaching with celebrating the wins. I mean, you may have a different approach to this, but human nature, we focus on so much stuff that we haven't done, and it's that negative language of stuff. Oh, I haven't done this. Like, you could do 10 things right and 1 thing wrong, and that's the only thing you'd procrastinate about. But again, there's so many negative issues out there, but if we can focus on stuff that you are doing, make sure we're celebrating that in regards to habits and routines, I think that can go a long way for mindset, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the habit stacking stuff is massive. Momentum is just huge. And I like the saying that your brain wants proof, not promises. So it's like you can tell yourself that like no one will make fun of me if I put my hand up in this room and ask the question, but like you don't really believe, you need to do it, and then it's like, oh, I didn't die. It's kind of like, so the next time I hesitate less, or if I want to ask something in front of this 300 person audience or whatever it is, I just kind of do it, because otherwise you kind of know that you're not gonna, nothing bad's gonna happen. But like it's that's a really good one. I think, like, I remember I was doing a best man speech, and I was just so petrified, and I was thinking, and it's funny because I remember I had a client, and the wedding was on the Saturday, and I saw her on the Wednesday night, and for weeks I'd been occupied with this speech, and she was like, same time next week, and I was thinking in my mind, I was like, there is no next Wednesday, the world ends, doesn't it? Like, it's apocalypse now, like, because in my mind I was just like, I couldn't visualize anything beyond that big event. I mean, that's obviously slightly off topic, but it just kind of shows how, like, if your brain doesn't get on your team, or something becomes this big thing, it can kind of like completely paralyze you into, whereas if you can get it where your brain wants to, lets you go to your potential, you feel tired and you find, no, that's just the physical body, like, and it's massive, huge.
I think with mindset as well, I think the power of language is anything. And what was the podcast, you know, the guy that's trying to reverse his age?
It's Brian someone, isn't it? It's the same name as the singer from AC/DC, but I always forget what it's.
Well, I'm a bit young for that. I'm not in your age bracket. Oh, straight in there.
Brian Johnson, I think, something like that.
So his was really fascinating, because he was saying, like, human nature, we are programmed to be like sheep, and you have to be this certain type. I mean, normal is a very wide word. I didn't say that, so
it's easy for you to say.
Damn it, straight back in.
Normal's a very loaded term, I think.
Massively. And like, he's obviously very different to like most, and he was on about people's, it's not just people's words and stuff that are hurtful, but their impressions and reactions. Like if you was to stand out from the crowd and doing something, I mean, you see it all the time when you're in that group of friends where you're down the pub all the time, you're eating crap food. If you go on the gym fitness journey, they're like, oh, that's weird. Do you know what I mean? Just by that, and that mindset, again, you don't want to socially isolate yourself from your group of friends, and sometimes it's really hard to cut ties because you've been in this group of circle that are bringing you down or judging you, and it's the way of the world we live in. When you try and better yourself, people are so insecure in their own bodies and lifestyle that they just want to take hostages, really. They don't want anyone else to seem better around them because, like you said, you don't want to be looked down upon and stuff like that. So it's difficult because there is so much pressure in regards to mindset of whether it's cost of living and your fitness journey, healthy eating. Like there's so many different avenues, parental family responsibilities that can bring you down. It's very easy, I think, to get overwhelmed and stuff, which is why I think we're really good for the world in regards to accountability, support, lifestyle.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting as well that we're kind of motivated by two drivers, pleasure and pain. We'll do some things to get pleasure, but we'll do anything to avoid pain. And it's like you said, like with friends up the pub, if you think that by telling them that you're about to start going to the gym and you're going to miss the Wednesday night beers, that they're going to kind of turn on you, the idea of you looking a little bit better soon kind of diminishes and fades and almost isn't worth it, because it's painful, the idea of being ostracized by those guys that you've kind of always known, or you're like the outcast of the, you know, and that's tough. Like you don't want that, you don't want those like feelings of like kind of, you know, they're really kind of real, of like rejection and that. That's kind of goes back to like childhood and stuff like that. We hate that, like intrinsically as humans. So being outcast from the tribe was like fatal, like for many years, like certainly in the prehistoric times. So yeah, you have to kind of realize that there's those two drivers, and when there's things that are, I had something else the other day that really, really I just thought was brilliant, like for fear, for dealing with fear.
Intermittent fasting?
That's what I did the other, exceptional the other day, which was not to eat for 16 hours. No, no, it was that the only fear you should have is having a shit life. Everything else should be subservient to that fear. And it was just like, whatever you think is scary or fearful or I'm not going to take action, it's like, no. The fear is the regret of crappy life that just umbrellas everything. And I was like, wow, that's like, it's a big like mental model to have that when you get caught up with the other stuff. And it's like thinking, oh, this is scary to do, but then it's like, but if I don't do that I know I can. And it's just like, if you look at this here, like the crappy life of doing nothing and just kind of like, it has to, we're all over the place off topic again, but I do think there's like lots of different brain hacks that you can have. There's a big difference between your brain being on your team, where you just feel invincible, you've got so much momentum, you could do all sorts, and then not so much, which you could be in an incredibly downward spiral. You know, stuff like real anger or apathy or addiction are examples of real kind of like lower consciousness states where you kind of need to do some work to come out of them. But it's all just the brain, isn't it? Just like the one organ just running the show.
So important. Yeah, big thing on this, I feel the power of language, I've touched on it before, but a little habit I give to clients, rather than say I have to go for a walk and stuff like that, is I get to. And I think just by that, like, we're very blessed that we can do this sort of stuff. And going back to the Jim Jones, like the power of mindset. So our very first seminar, we had to do a partner workout called Tailpipe. And basically, if we didn't do this workout in under the time cap 6 minutes, we had to leave. And I've never met this guy before. So you get paired with someone that's like similar weight and height, obviously 6'4", jacked and stuff like that. But I'd never met this guy. So if I let him down, he's lost his qualification, and vice versa. And I'm thinking the anxiety, I'm like, oh my God. So Tailpipe, we had to do 3 rounds, 250 meter row, whilst you got suffocated with 2 kettlebells. So 2 24s, you literally could not breathe. And it was 6 rounds back to back in under 6 minutes. And mate, I literally, on the last one, so I think he held second. So I was on the rower right at the end, mate, blacking out, like I couldn't see. And he's just come round to the rower, like begging, like, please, please, and I just can't see, and I'm pulling this. We did it in 5:58, but I would never, ever, ever. I mean, whether or not you need to train to that intensity is a different story, but done that. Just that power of mindset of him relying on me,
the leverage of that,
unlocked this thing. Like, I have to die for this guy. I mean, I've got that like live or die mentality anyway, but it just unlocked everything for me. And there were so many other factors as well. Like, as soon as you tell yourself you can't do it, it's game over. And I think with visualizations, with when you go for like a PB deadlift or something, it's 220 for me, by the way. Just get that in there. You have to imagine yourself doing it, because if you can't, it's fight or flight. You've already checked out. So envisage yourself doing it. Positive mindset, it's everything. And the power of language is more effective than you think.
Yeah, leverage is huge. Like the absolutely massive. You know, like one of my heroes is Michael Jordan. Well, he is my ultimate hero, and he used to like pick fights in his mind that other players had said things about him that they hadn't actually said, like just to kind of amp himself up. And but that's a skill, like to be able to do that. Rather, like you say, like you came in at the 5 minutes 58 because there was that kind of leverage, but the skill is almost like you on your own on Sunday morning do it under 6 minutes because you make it important in your mind, even though it's not there. And that's
one of them sprinters done that. I think I want to say, is Dwayne Chambers a sprinter? Have I just made that name up?
Dwayne Chambers, he's the one that got done for drugs. Dwayne Chambers.
But I think one of them, it sounds really extreme, but I know one runner used to imagine his kid being attacked, and he was on the start line like amped up to like fast twitch fibers and stuff like that, because it's mad, like the power, because I think, what's the percentage, I don't know if you know how much of the brain we use. It's low, isn't it?
It's low versus what it could
potential,
be like,
and these lot of things, I mean, I think there was like 90% of us when we was in America PB'd the list, because that environment, you can't create that. I mean, when you're on a competition floor as well, it's just the adrenaline, the excitement and stuff is
levels you up for sure,
massively.
Yeah, I mean, mindset is this is something that we're both very passionate about. We'll cover this more, I'm sure, in other episodes of it links into so much other stuff.
Welcome to this week's Will. Mr. Matt Cow will be on the receiving end this week, so without further ado, squeaky bum time. Come on. Yes! Forfeit. Right, Mr. Matt Cow, I would like you to sing your favourite song for 15 seconds whilst trying to do the robot dance at the same time. Yes!
I'll tell you what, I'll meet you halfway. I'll do the robot dance if you play a
Okay, I'll meet you there. What's the song?
You can choose the song.
Okay. Right, I'm ready. You ready? Okay. 7 seconds. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to tune in next week, and remember to like, comment and subscribe for more value.